Hello and welcome to my home automation video, the long version. I hope you saw the short version because the short version demonstrates everything. In the long version I will be demonstrating a lot, but I will also be explaining a lot more. If you want a further explanation even still, please contact me. My email will be at the end of the video. I like to compare my home automation system to a human. We have the brain, the eyes, the ears, and then the arms and legs. I like to think as the website as the eyes, because if they see a change in the website, they report to the brain. I like to think as the Amazon Echoes as the ears, because if they hear a change, they report to the brain. And then the hands and feet, they are mainly the action. They execute the commands, but sometimes they can feel and then send information back to the brain, and then the brain can give the body further information. We'll start with the bathroom music. The bathroom music arm can feel. So if this detects motion, it sends it up to the brain, and then the brain decides what to do with it, and then sends information back to the bathroom music and turns it on or off. Then we'll go to the TV. This is when things start getting a little tricky, because I go from Raspberry Pi to Raspberry Pi. I use this software called MQTT, and it's a publish and subscribe. So between all my microcontrollers, this publishes everything, and then all my other microcontrollers subscribe to the data. And if the data matches up to what they're looking for, they execute the commands. So the TV. If the Echo hears something, it reports to the brain. If the Echo hears something about the TV commands, it reports to the brain, and then the brain, using MQTT, sends commands to the Raspberry Pi, and then this Raspberry Pi knows what to do to turn the TV on, to turn the TV off, to change the source, to change the channel, etc. Next we'll go down here to the lights. Let's say the eyes see a change. They report to the brain, and then the brain, these two guys are called ESP8266s. Basically what they are is they're like Arduinos, except they have Wi-Fi, which makes them perfect for this occasion. So back, the eyes see a change, they talk to the brain, and then the brain communicates to the leg, which then does the action of turning on and or off the lights. Same thing with the blinds and the air conditioner. If the Echo hears something, it reports to the brain, and then the brain uses the leg, and it either opens the blinds or connects to the air conditioner. This ESP connects both the blinds and the air conditioner, so that's why it has two. I like to think of this human analogy because it helps keep everything separate, and I know whether everything is listening, hearing, or doing actions. Like I mentioned in the short video, the journey started here. At the company I co-op at called Ansys, there's music in the bathroom. So I was like, why not bring that here? This first started out with an ultrasonic sensor because I would measure the distance between the cup and the wall, and whenever that changed, that would trigger the music. Except the ultrasonic sensor was cheap and unreliable, so I had to switch to a motion detector. And like I showed you, it turns off when you walk out. Then you have the kill all switch, and then here's the brain I was talking about. Everything goes through this Raspberry Pi. You can see these wires right here are directly connected to the motion sensor, but everything else uses the MQTT, publish and subscribe method. The motion sensor is great, but when I was taking a shower, it would turn off and on, off and on, off and on. So I built a shower feature in. You can access it from the website or the Amazon Alexa. I'll show it with the Echo here. Echo, turn on my jams. Now you can hear the music start, and there was no motion. And when you walk in, the motion sensor is deactivated. And to turn shower mode off, go Echo, turn on party's over. And it turns off. I put in this feature because I realized there was a problem, so I took the necessary steps to fix it. The same happened with this kill all switch. I just put the motion sensor in and there was some problems, so I had to take some steps to fix it. So these two features weren't originally planned, but after some real life testing, they were necessary. In this longer version of the video, we have time to go into the website more. This website is made of HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. I didn't know any of those languages before I started this project, and learned those languages for this project. I'm not an expert at it, but I keep getting better. I also started to dabble in Ajax. That's how these states keep updated. So this is the shower version of the bathroom. If you hit play music, you have the big play symbol come up in the back, and then you have music is on. When you hit stop music, the pause symbol comes up, and you have music is off. The same concept applies to the blinds. You can see blinds are closed. When I hit sunlight, it gives you the time. The blinds are opening. And if you switch back to the home page, you can see blinds are opening. And when they stop opening, it switches from blinds are opening to blinds are open. Another feature that didn't make it in the short version is error checking. So you can see blinds are open. The blinds are open. If I try to click sunlight again, I get this error message. And the command is not executed. But if I hit darkness, it comes up, says blinds are closing, and sure enough, the blinds are closing. What full cycle is it opens the blinds, holds them open for 5 minutes, and then closes them. The alarm time also activates full cycle. So if I would put in a time here, say 8:01 a.m., submit, the alarm clocks come up, it reminds you what time it is. Then if you go over here in the States, it's 8:01. So at 8:01, the blinds will open, stay open for 5 minutes, and then close. One more feature with the blinds is this turn off feature. Because sometimes on the weekends, I don't want the blinds to come up. I just want to wake up when I wake up. So when I hit turn off, it reminds me the alarm is off. Go back to the home page, and then you see off. Again, this wasn't a feature I planned, but when I set up my contraption, on the weekends it was opening up, and I'm like, I don't want this to happen, and I didn't want to set it to a random time, so I added this turn off. So this is another feature that wasn't planned, but after testing and real life application, I decided it was necessary. So how the website works a little bit. The 3 statements on the left, music is off, blinds are closed, and 7 o'clock, that's stored on a text file on the Raspberry Pi. I was going to make it a database, but there's only 3 lines of data, so a text file is perfectly fine for that. In the future, I will say at the end what I would improve in my project if I had more time, and making a database is one of them. How the rest of them work are PHP files. When you click on any one of these, it launches a PHP file on the Raspberry Pi. And what that PHP file then does is it launches a Python code, which then calls one of the microcontrollers, calls one of the ESPs, and then the ESPs do their action. Next up is the AC. You can see the button here. When you click it, it tells you the button was clicked, and then you can hear the air conditioner in the back turn on. How this works is there's a relay that is soldered onto the on and off button for the AC. So when I want to flick the switch, all I do is send the current through that relay and it flicks the on and off button. The only problem with that is you don't know if it's on or off. Like I said, there's going to be a section in the end where I talk about what I would improve, and this one also makes it there. Down here, you can see the inner workings of the air conditioner and blinds. All the way in the back is the ESP. That receives the commands from the Raspberry Pi. Then we have the relay. you can see the gray cord coming out of it. That same gray cord connects to the air conditioner, which switches it on and off. Next we have the motor controller, which controls the motor. The ESP can't directly control the motor because the motor deals with more current than the ESP can handle, so it has to go through the motor controller, which protects the ESP from burning out. Then we have the motor and the spindle. Echo, close the blinds.
Okay.
Here I will be showing you that the air conditioner and the blinds work with Alexa 2. Echo, turn on the air conditioner.
Okay.
And to repeat, how it works is the Echo receives the command, it sends it to the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi using MQTT sends it to the ESP, which then turns on the relay, which then turns on the air conditioner. A very similar process happens with the blinds, except it turns on the blinds, turns on the motor and activates the motor instead of activating relay. Echo, open the blinds.
Okay.
The last feature of the website is light switch on and off. And this feature wasn't hard to add the code for because I already did 4 others. So it's just following the system, following the framework. So we have off, and then we have on. By far the hardest thing about the light switch was the mount. The code was pretty easy because I already did many things like it, but the mount was hard because these had to be just perfect. These 3 screws, which hold the servo motor in place, had to be just perfect. And then these screws were actually the tiniest ones they had at the hardware store. So I will bring the Echo in to show you how it works. Echo, lights off.
Okay.
Echo, lights on. One reason I'm really proud of this mount is because there's no tape, there's no glue, it's just nuts, screws, and metal. And I like that because if I was going to make a project in the real world that would go on real world applications, I wouldn't be allowed to use tape or super glue or stuff like that. So it's really good experience to only use bolts and screws. This is the ESP that controls the lights. One valuable thing I learned during this project is if you can power it from a wall outlet, do that instead of batteries because the batteries will die. Here is actually the power to a servo. It runs up and up to the mounting plate and servo up there. At first I was using batteries, but those die after a short while with these servos. So if you want to make your projects durable, you want to plug them into the wall, and like I said earlier, you want to use nuts and bolts. Here's my Raspberry Pi that sends out IR signals to communicate with the TV. That bulb right there is the same one that is in your TV remote. I set up a primary circuit earlier to this, and with the software called Lerp, I recorded the pulses of my TV remote. And then it stores it in the Raspberry Pi, and then using Python, I can call them up, and I can send the signals I recorded out through that bulb. I've demonstrated here. Echo, power.
Okay.
Echo, channel down.
Okay.
Right there you saw the most basic commands, but to have full control of the TV, you need many more commands than that. I think I have on the upward side of 20 commands. I'll show you a few more here. Echo, turn TV volume way up.
Okay.
Echo. Switch.
Okay.
Echo. Down 1.
Okay.
Here's my bike speedometer. Back here is the Arduino, which does all the calculations. Right here is the power supply. And then right here is the 4-digit display, which spits out the speed. If you follow the wires down the bike, you can see the Hall effect sensor is right here. It detects magnetic fields. And down here you have the magnet. So every time the magnet rotates around, the Hall effect sensor detects it and then uses some simple math to calculate the speed. To turn the speedometer on, all you do is plug it in. Then you get rolling. Knowing the diameter of the tire, you can calculate the circumference, and the Hall effect sensor tells you each time the magnet passes. So doing some simple calculations, you can spit out the speed on the 4-digit display. Here you can see my friction bike. I just got the motor mounted yesterday and I leave for college tomorrow, so I don't have time to put the finishing touches on. But I run you through the basics. Right here's the weed whacker. This is a custom machine part that my dad helped me make. So it connects the peg to the motor, so when the motor spins, the peg spins, which allows the tire to spin. Down here we have the turnbuckle, which allows the gap between the peg and the turn and the tire to change. Then we have the steel plate right here. There's a little arc cut out of it. We used a bandsaw and a grinder to make sure the motor will fit right in there. And then up here we have the U-bolts, which I really like because we didn't have to do any drilling or welding. The U-bolts allowed us to get a clean connection, and it's nice and tight and secure. Here I have the kill switch, so anytime I'm riding the bike and I need the motor to stop, I just press those together right there. And then right here, here's my throttle system. This goes to the throttle of the weed whacker. This keeps the tension, this spring, and then this goes to what was the back brake. So as you can see, when I move the back brake, it moves that ring forward and the spring brings it back. And then when that ring moves forward, you can see in the back on the weed whacker, the throttle is opened. Here you can see the motor on. You can see it spinning the peg, which is spinning the tire. I have it suspended so it's not going anywhere. I'll demonstrate the throttle now. When I pull that back brake, you can see this ring move forward and you can hear the motor kick up. And then I'll demonstrate the kill switch to show that it works. Here, I'll show you how I start the bike. As soon as I start it, since it's with friction, I don't want to stall the engine, so I have to move.
Here's the friction bike in action. As you can see, Michael is not pedaling the bicycle. The speed of the bike depends on how close the peg is to the tire. The turnbuckle can make the peg closer to the tire, making the bike go faster. Since it's wet outside today, there's lower friction, meaning lower speeds.
Hello, this is the section I talk about improvements. There's many improvements that can be made, but with the time and resources, I'm just going to list a few here. For the bathroom sensor, I'd like more sensors for less error, or more expensive sensor for less errors. And then I would also throw in control so that the user in the bathroom can change the music or turn it up or down easily from the bathroom. For the blinds, I put in a Hall effect sensor. So if you remember in my speedometer, the Hall effect sensor can detect a magnet each time the magnet goes around. Well, right now the blinds are just on a time cycle where the motor will go up for I think 22 seconds and then down for 15. So with the Hall effect sensor, I could then make that exact. So I could tell when the blinds got all the way down and I could stop it right there. And that would lead to no cracks in the blind and letting light seep through. For the AC, I would change it from a relay, because the relay only gives me on and off capabilities, to LUG, which you saw in the TV remote. LUG can work with any remote, so I'd use the AC remote, then record those frequencies, and then I could turn the AC off, on, up, down, power saving mode, whatever I wanted. The lights. What I would change with the lights is I'd machine some of that mount down so it's not so big and blocky. The TV remote. Right now you can only send it single commands, but I'd have to set up a Amazon web developer, and then after that I would be able to string the commands together. And that's the main thing I would improve with the TV remote. With the speedometer on the bike, I'd put maybe 3 more magnets on. That way I form a cross with the magnets, and I can update the speed every quarter turn instead of every full turn. And then also, I would put Bluetooth on a Bluetooth adapter on the Arduino. Then I could send the data afterwards of all my speeds to my phone. The friction bike. There's lots of things I could improve with the friction bike because I just got it working. But the main thing I want to improve is change that turnbuckle to a pedal. So that way when I press the pedal down, it would drop the peg down and it would get more contact, and more contact means more friction means more speed. That is the main thing I'd like to change.